Hello and welcome back, YouTube. It is Thursday morning, 5:59 a.m. December 22nd, 2022. So I guess my Christmas break starts now. I don't go back to work until the night of December 26th. So I'm in the Super 8 hotel over at the Blade. Yeah. And just for the record, not picking up hookers, not picking up crack, in case anybody was curious. Just dropped off one of my coworkers that I've given a ride here before. I feel so bad every time she tells me the stuff she's dealing with. I'm just like, ooh, and I suddenly feel a whole lot better about all the issues in my life. Apparently she's been having all kinds of health issues and bad roommate issues, and she's here paying so much money to live in a hotel that just... That's rough. It's yeah, anybody that gets down to the point that they're paying to live in a hotel to avoid being homeless or trying to work a job that's as low paying as Amazon, it's just wow, just a big ouch right there. But yeah, over here in the Blade, 27th Avenue and Indian School. Thinking about which Whataburger to go to so I can get me another one of those breakfast burgers that really hit the spot the other day. It's as brutally long as my wait in the drive-thru was. You know, and the funny thing is the wait in the drive-thru didn't bother me nearly as much at Whataburger as it did at Taco Bell. But the burger I got at Whataburger was really good. The burritos I got from Taco Bell were freaking cold. Like I think what happened with the Taco Bell drive-thru, it wasn't the last one I went through, because I actually vlogged what I went through. I just want to mention, I forget what night last week. I was, actually I do remember, it was Sunday night. Change of plans. Whee! Never go this way. Almost forgot this went through until the very last second there. Is like the taxi driver voice in my head was like, Dan, turn left there. and it's rarely wrong about those things. I think it's getting hot here.
The freeways are looking really good. I'm not seeing any delays in the East Valley at all. Now, that may not be a shock, because usually it takes a while before they get started. But on the west side, only delays that I'm seeing are minor light brake lights, an extra minute, eastbound I-10 between 59th and 43rd Avenue. Doesn't mean we don't have a snag or two. We do have two snags. We have a wreck on the actually, it's just some slowing that's developing there. I-10 eastbound near 43rd Avenue. Thought maybe we had a snag, but
already passed that.
At Indian School, injury crash being reported at that location. And I gotta say, it feels like the night before Christmas right now. This traffic report brought to you by Rooter Ranger, the plumber that responds in minutes, not days. Affordable plumbing solutions.
I didn't think there was anything traffic I needed to worry about. Otherwise, I wouldn't be rolling video. I'd be looking at my traffic queue on Google. I don't know why the hell I'm turning left here. I should have been going straight and getting on the freeway southbound. Oops. There's no way I'm going to be able to get back on the access road either. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it.
Crisis. We're hearing from voices in Arizona after Governor Doug Ducey and the federal government agreed to bring the shipping container wall down. KTAR's Battling Overstolz is live in the news center with more.
Wow.
Yuma County Supervisor Jonathan Lyons says this will help his community since it puts the responsibility on the Biden administration to work on the border.
I am grateful for the governor for doing the jobs that the feds wouldn't do. This now forces the feds to do the job that they should have done in the first place.
Oh, and I'm sure they're going to get right on it.
It shouldn't be a state issue.
The Biden administration alleged the wall was illegally built on federal land and endangered local wildlife. Battling Overstolz, KTAR News.
Governor-elect Katie Hobbs may
Yeah,
be visiting the U.S.
it endangers local wildlife, especially the coyotes.
Yuma Mayor Doug Nichols tells the Gators and Chad Show he invited the Democrats to come visit.
And so what I did is I invited invited her to come take a trip and see how that is in Yuma, because it's going to be different than it is in Nogales and Douglas and those communities.
Hubb says she'd like to visit sooner rather than later. Nichols added about 1,100 migrants are coming across each day, and that number is still increasing.
The burden of proof here rests on Kari Lake, and it's a very high burden.
The failed governor candidate, Kari Lake, is challenging the midterm election results, and a decision could be just a few days away.
With the inauguration on January 2nd, this trial will move quickly. KTAR host and Valley attorney Barry Markson expects a ruling by Friday or early next week, allowing some time for appeals. Markson says Lake is facing an uphill battle.
The only way you can be a winner of an election in Arizona is if you receive more votes than your opponent. That's it.
And Lake's attorneys must show that Maricopa County officials intentionally caused the Election Day printer issues and broke the chain of custody to alter the election outcome, which Markson says will be almost impossible to prove. Luke Forstner, KTAR News.
Patients with mild to moderate cases of the flu and other respiratory illnesses.
So I really meant to mention that on my last video. One of the reasons I didn't sleep well yesterday and ended up being so tired that I fell back asleep and then fell asleep after I got up and didn't make it into work on time. Is when I got up, checked my YouTube messages, checked my YouTube recommendations, and saw that there were live streams of the Kari Lake trial. So I watched a little bit of the live stream and then it cut off. And I found another live stream that YouTube search said it was live, and come to find out it wasn't live. And then I found another video, I forget what, from Arizona Family, so Channel 3, Channel 5. And man, the audio was terrible on it. Like, it was overmodulated to the point of like they were probably giving it twice the audio level it needed. But I could see everything and I could understand it enough to tell what they were talking, and it seemed to have everything in one stream. So I was able to watch it from the beginning of the trial. I want to say I listened to probably a little over half of the trial that occurred yesterday. At one point I did manage to fall back asleep, but yeah, I'm not convinced. As I'm not even trying to pick sides here. I think I've been pretty clear who I was hoping would win the election for governor.
The KTAR Business Center ground has been broken on an upscale senior living community in North Phoenix, Live Plus Union Peak. That's spelled L-I-V plus.
Yeah, I don't care. Anyway, sorry about that. Cut myself off. It's 6:08 a.m. and I'm, as you can see, kind of meandering and taking the scenic route to Whataburger, since I accidentally turned left onto Thomas instead of getting on the freeway like I meant to. You know, I was doing good when I did the little cut left from 27th Avenue onto Osborne, southbound onto the I-17 access road, but I don't know, just wasn't thinking right. When I got in the left turn lane onto Thomas instead of just staying on the access road and getting on I-17. And being stuck behind this thing sucks. Speed bumps are not so bad. You have to stop to a near crawl to go over them. Come on now. Anyway, for my phone so rudely interrupted me. So done being behind that guy. I was talking about the Kari Lake trial. So I watched and listened more than I watched. There wasn't really anything to see, but I want to say probably half of it. And while I was doing it, I was scrolling through comments on a few different videos about it, and stream videos where they streamed it, you know, delayed streams of it. And one thing that really, really is abundantly clear is how much the average person watching the trial, and I wonder how many of those people are actually watching it or whether they're just hitting the video and leaving a comment and then bouncing, but how many people just absolutely don't understand how the legal process works. I mean, so many people arguing with me, saying, "Oh, it's not a trial; it's just a hearing. It's not a trial; it's just a hearing." Dude, read the minute entry. It is a trial. Like blah blah blah. If it gets dismissed, yeah, the motion to dismiss has already been ruled on. It's not getting dismissed. It is at trial. Oh yeah, they mostly dismissed it. Now, granted, there were five causes of action. Well, there were, I think, total of 7 causes of action, and 5 of them were dismissed. But it wasn't due to evidence or lack of evidence. It was due to those not being cause of actions that one can statutorily bring a cause of action to, which kind of makes me wonder how capable of an attorney Kari Lake got. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be bringing anything into the Superior Court in Maricopa County unless there's a basis in the Arizona revised statutes to bring it under. So yeah, the 5 allegations that were dismissed, it had nothing to do with the validity of the allegations or a lack of evidence or whatever, as some news outlets are reporting. Well, truck behind me is all black, all dark, and has no lights on whatsoever. Driving in the dark. Brilliant. Yeah, they were just simply dismissed due to the fact that there's no statutory basis to put those in a lawsuit. The 2 things that she is carrying on forward with, which were mentioned on the radio a little bit ago, is an allegation that the printer issues were deliberate. It was done deliberately to discourage people to vote for her, and that it impacted her negatively. I don't see it. I really don't see it. I haven't seen anything whatsoever that would make me believe that. I mean, I just look at it like, why? Generally speaking, the guys that are running the election are trying to make it run as smoothly as possible for everybody, regardless of party affiliation. So I just don't see anybody. Printer issues happen. That just kind of is what it is. I've heard a couple different theories as to what the problem is with the printers, and the whole thing about the 19-inch ballots versus 20-inch ballots is kind of interesting. Listen to Kari Lake's expert witness, and I forget his name, but not particularly convinced by his credentials or his testimony. And it certainly conflicted with the testimony from the guys that set up the printers. So, at any rate, I don't see it being deliberate, and I also don't see the whole thing of, well, nobody wants to put it in box 3. Well, that's kind of on you. A whole group that keeps saying, well, we should hand count the votes. Box 3 was your chance to have it hand counted. So, what is it you really want? Now, I do think the strongest thing that Kari Lake has going on in her lawsuit is the chain of custody thing. It does look like the chain of custody in the ballots has some holes.
Hi, thanks for choosing Waterburger. Can I assist you?
Good morning. I just wanted to get 2 breakfast burgers.
2 breakfast burgers?
Yeah.
Okay, 2 breakfast burgers. Anything else I can get for you?
Nope, just that.
I'll have your third doing that.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
They're not that big. I think I want 2. I'm kind of hungry.
Breakfast burger, 11.28.
Yikes, that's expensive. Thank you. Wow, I don't believe I just spent that on 2 burgers, but whatever. That's what I'm craving right now, and I'm hungry. Getting by on mediocre food way too much lately. Wow, and they got a new temporary shake flavor here. White chocolate raspberry. That sounds delicious. So anyways, they're saying the Kari Lake trial. Yeah, the one thing that she's arguing, though, the whole thing about the chain of custody regarding transporting the ballots, there does seem to be some question there, at least based on the testimony I've heard. But, and of course, we still got a whole nother day of trial going on today, and there's probably half of the stuff that happened yesterday I didn't actually hear, so I still want to hear it. But the other thing worth mentioning is at the very beginning, and I feel like this was lost on a lot of people that were commenting about the video, is there were a bunch of affidavits, and most of which the judge did admit. Now, how much weight he's going to give those versus actual live testimony of people that came in to testify at the trial remains to be seen. But he did say that he was admitting those and taking them under advisement. So, for what it's worth, the judge seems to be running a very extremely fair trial. I mean, every time there's been objections on questions or objections on answers, and he's ruled on them, on the fly, I've agreed with pretty much everything he's ruled on that. And I got to give the judge props. He seems to be running an extremely fair trial. It doesn't seem to have any bias, or if he does, he's certainly not showing it. And certainly seems to be willing to examine all the evidence and let Kari Lake have an attempt to make her case in a 2-day trial. So, yeah, even if they do show that there was a problem with the chain of custody, of the ballots, I think it's going to be very difficult to show that there were enough ballots that didn't make it to where they were supposed to make it, regardless of if they were transported in the way they should have been transported under the scrutiny and custody that they should have been transported with. I got a feeling at the end of the day, it's going to show that everything was still accounted for. I mean, the thing to keep in mind, thank you. The thing to keep in mind with the Maricopa County election is that every individual ballot in the envelope that it's transported in has a barcode on it that indicates whose ballot it is. Now, the ballot itself has nothing that ties it to an individual person, but it stays in that envelope until it is tallied. And anybody, if they want to know if they're, well, I don't know if the website's still active now. It probably is. But, after the election, if you want to know if your early ballot has been counted, you can go to a website and put in your information, and when it gets tabulated, based on the tracking with that barcode, you can know exactly when your vote is counted. One thing that really, really kind of got me, and this makes me wonder just how well Kari Lake's attorney understands what it is he's trying to do and how things work, is when he was asking questions. The testimony I listened to the closest, and it was the one that had by far the worst audio, was I forget his first name, Richard, the Maricopa County recorder. Now he's 100% responsible for all the early voting ballots, and there seems to be a lot of confusion, particularly with, not only with the general public, but particularly with Kari Lake's attorney, as far as the differentiation between early ballots that are dropped off on election day, what KTAR was referring to as the late earlies, and people who vote on election day. Now, granted, those people are technically voting on election day, but there's two ways to vote on election day, and it's a completely different path as far as in laws and rules that govern how it's done. You've got people that actually sign in, as I did, at a voting location, get their ballots printed, get their ballots either scanned, or in the case of the printer malfunction where they couldn't be scanned, get their ballots put into what they call door number 3 to be tabulated later. And I do like that I want to say his name's Kevin Richard, something Richard, that he pointed out that people who had an issue with that need to kind of take a step back and realize that that's how every other county in Arizona tabulates their votes. Maricopa County is the only one that scans them on location, just because the quantity of ballots in Maricopa County is just so overwhelmingly much more than every other county in Arizona. I mean, the only one that comes even remotely close is Pima County, which has got Tucson in it. But yeah, there just seemed to be a lot of things that, based on the way that Kari Lake's attorney was asking questions, it just made me think that he doesn't even really, that he's bringing this lawsuit with these allegations without a real understanding of how the voting system works, and the difference between an in-person ballot, which is generated at the election center, and a ballot that is mailed to you, which is an early ballot. Even if it isn't dropped off early, even if you wait until election day to drop it off, that is still an early ballot, and it's still treated the same as early voting, even if it was dropped off on election day. Another thing that I noticed that he was bringing up is he was trying to make a big deal out of, well, some people waited over 2 hours. The person he was asking about it, and I forget who that person's name was, but that particular witness, he testified that while there were people that waited almost 2 hours, he had no reports of anybody waiting in line over 2 hours. But there seemed to be a lot of confusion between Kari Lake's attorney and what he was trying to bring as allegations, and then the person who was explaining like how the election centers work, as far as how much time it takes to vote. Like, the witness broke it down as far as, like, there's the time while you're waiting in line to check in, then there's the time it takes to check in, then there's a certain amount of time that it takes for the average person to fill out the ballot. And for a lot of people, it was a pretty long ballot this year. Now, granted, not everybody does every election down ballot. Some people just fill the top 3 or 4 things out and figure they're done with it. And then also the line to wait to have it tabulated. There's often a line for that as well. So I could see that maybe if somebody was at one of those places where the wait was nearly 2 hours, where if you add all those other times, that yeah, I could see it maybe totaling up to over 2 hours. And again, that's semantics. But one thing that the county witness made very clear, and this is something that I had vlogged about on election day, was that the county recorder, Maricopa County Recorder, has a website where you can look and in real time see before you go to an election center how much of a wait there is there. I mean, I went to one at a school in Arcadia, and I was in and out. I think from the time I parked my car until the time I was back in my car, I would say probably less than 15 minutes. So I'm kind of inclined to agree with with the county witness that said, hey, waiting in line nearly 2 hours, that's a choice. They didn't have to do that. They could go to the website and see. And he mentioned as an example that the voting location at the Biltmore had just under a 2-hour wait, and then he mentioned another one that was within 2 miles of it that had no wait at all. And that's kind of how it was when I looked at mine. The first one I looked, which is my closest election location, it's a church. I forget the name of the church. I think it's a Presbyterian church over at the corner of Thomas Road and 42nd Street. That one did have probably an hour and 40-minute wait, as I recall. It was a long wait. I looked at that and I'm like, nope. And then I looked at the next closest location, which was an elementary school, probably about 2 miles from my place, a little bit kind of north and west, and that one had almost an hour wait. And I was like, yeah, there's got to be one that's reasonably close to me that doesn't have a long wait. And the third one I scrolled by was a school that I went to in Arcadia near 52nd Street and Lafayette, and there was 0 wait at all. And that wait time has to do with the wait to check in, the line to check in. There was no line to check in. I parked my car, walked right in. It was more of a line of traffic just to get a parking spot. But as soon as I got out of my car, I walked right in, and I walked right up to the point where they take me to a terminal to sign in. Now, granted, the AI, the automated signature recognition did not recognize me, so it did take me, maybe 30 seconds longer, while an election official walked up and was like, since this automated system didn't recognize my signature on the touchscreen, looked at my voter ID card, which I still have on me. Right here, voter registration card. Here's my first one when I got my right to vote back. Looked at it. Looked at my driver's license just to make sure that since there's no picture ID on that voter registration card. Looked at my driver's license. Got my photo on it. Looked at me and was like, you said the same address? I'm like, sure am. And then I was in the system. I think ID is a good thing. So. Glad they took the effort to make sure that it was actually me and not just somebody claiming to be me trying to vote on my behalf. But yeah, at that point they printed out my ballot, went right to the thing. I probably spent about 10 minutes because I did go through the entire ballot. And as far as there was a little line to get it scanned, but there was maybe 2 people ahead of me. I would say I waited less than a minute in that line, scanned it right through without issue. So. I don't know. I'm still watching it. I don't. It's just crazy seeing all the people in the comments that are like, "Oh, Katie Hobbs cheated. Katie Hobbs cheated. Katie Hobbs is in charge of the election." Katie Hobbs is in charge, oversees the certification of the machines, and oversees the final certification of the votes. But she doesn't oversee the election in Maricopa County or any other county. Those are all done by the various county recorders, or in the case of Maricopa County, because every county can kind of do it a little bit different. We do have the County Board of Supervisors that oversees stuff on election day, and then all the early voting ballots are handled by the county recorder. But it's a team effort. By the way, the director of the County Board of Supervisors handled that. That's Bill Gates. Not that Bill Gates, but local Maricopa County Phoenix resident. Probably not a Phoenix resident. Maybe he's a Phoenix resident. I don't know. But anyway, not Microsoft Bill Gates, the other local Arizona Bill Gates. That guy. I've listened to several interviews between both him and I want to say his name's Kevin Richer, the county Maricopa County recorder, and both of them seem very, very. I don't see either of those guys doing anything nefarious. And the fact that some Republicans did win, granted not a lot, and the fact there's just such a difference in the amount of votes for, say, Jose Fincham versus Adrian Fontes versus I forget her name. Her last name is Yee, the Republican county treasurer. I mean, she won in a near landslide. So not everybody is strictly voting by party, and the fact that it is such that those different offices had different results, I think, kind of leans to it. You know, was there printer issues? Yeah, everybody knows that. But was it intentional? I'm thinking not. I think when all is said and done, it's probably going to come out that Kari Lake is going to probably fail to prove her case. But I do appreciate the fact that the judge is giving her a chance to do it, and I do like that the whole thing is being looked at by a judge. I want to say that this will kind of quiet the get people to quit talking about stolen election and this and that here in Maricopa County, but judging from how uninformed people are in the comment section of these different YouTube videos, I'm going to say it probably won't. A lot of people have their minds made up based on incorrect information, and they're not really interested in learning more about what's actually happening. They're not trying to understand what is being presented to them in that video. And that's kind of sad, but I think that's sort of the society we live in today. In fact, I had somebody, I left quite a few comments, and my inbox has kind of exploded because of it, but I did have one person that left a comment, said something like, in fact, hang on, I got my Obama phone here, maybe I can pull the comment up here. This one's worth reading. And I just read the beginning of it. I didn't read the whole thing because I was tired. As it was, I ended up being late for work. Well, I've got bars, I've got service. Is it gonna let me look at my inbox on YouTube? Debatable. This phone is just hopeless these days. I'm probably over my minutes on it, or data, I don't know. It's not refreshing, damn it. Oh, I really wanted to read this comment, but it's not coming up. But anyway, something said about, would basically wanted to insult me by saying, oh yeah, you've got the energy of, I'm the smartest person I know energy going on. And it's not that, but I am pretty well read and informed on how election procedures are here in Maricopa County, and also on how court procedures work here in Maricopa County. I have spent, for a guy that's not a lawyer, I have spent an obscene amount of time in the Maricopa County Superior Court as a defendant in criminal matters, just supporting friends and helping friends in their cases, and mostly just helping people do their paperwork in civil lawsuits and also in family law matters. I'm damn good as a legal document preparer. Now, I could never get certified for it because I'm a convicted felon, but I can do the job, and I have prepared documents that several different attorneys have proofread and been like, yeah, that's really good, Dan, you're good at that, and then put their bar numbers on it, signed it, but I was the ghostwriter for those motions and for the supporting legal briefs that went with them. And I'm very well versed in the Arizona rules of civil procedure, and in sizable portions of the Arizona revised statutes as well. I really enjoy reading law books and reading case law. Not trying to say that I'm the smartest person I know, but I would say I'm a lot more informed on the subject matter that people are debating in the comments under these different streams and these different YouTube videos about the Kari Lake trial. It's amazing how many people were angry that Kevin Richard, I think his name, the Maricopa County attorney, appeared via video conferencing. Some people are like, well, why is he not appearing in person? I'm like, and my response to that is because the Arizona Rules of Civil Procedure and the Maricopa County local rules allow for telephonic and video conference appearances, as long as neither party objects to it. And even if a party does object to it here in Maricopa County, the judge can overrule that objection 90% of the time, unless they can show that, unless a party can show that they're going to be negatively impacted by a person not testifying in person. The judge is not going to inconvenience that person. Would rather have them appear. Is down to have them appear. I mean, shit. At the last trial that I had regarding my daughter, Allison, when I was fighting for custody of her, not against her mom, because her mom had already checked out of this world, but I was fighting against the guardian and also her uncle, her rich uncle. Her grandfather on her mother's side testified telephonically. And I felt so bad for the man. Honestly, as the way that testimony went, I think it hurt. That was a witness that her uncle presented, and I think it hurt her uncle's case more than it helped it. But yeah, the guy was elderly and had terminal cancer, and of course, they let him appear telephonically, and there was not a problem with it. But so many people are like, why is that allowed? Why is that allowed? It's allowed because the law allows it. Why? What's your problem with it? Can you explain how him appearing in person would have added anything that him appearing telephonically or him appearing via video conferencing didn't, that wasn't, how did it negatively impact the trial? And of course, nobody ever has an answer for that. They just don't like it. Anyway, I think I'm talking in circles. I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm trying to get my soda or not a soda, but get myself my Sip and Save tea from Circle K and get home before my breakfast burgers get cold. Anyway, I'm just gonna wrap this up. I don't really have anything else to say. I did have a good day in work. When I got there, I was kind of surprised they actually had more drivers. Not only more drivers, but more water spiders working than needed in outbound. So I actually went and worked in Receive tonight. Had a good time working in Receive. My rate, not so good, but as I love to point out when I go work in Receive, that my rate is not relevant. I don't have to hit rate because I'm a forklift driver. I'm just over here helping y'all out. and I kind of make a point to deliberately help them out. And since my rate doesn't matter, I was primarily loading large, awkward, heavy items where only 1 to 2 to 3 items fit in a tote. And I was making a lot of effort to put things together where I could get 2 and 3 items in a tote, though a lot of people would have just put 1 item in a tote just so the totes were better packed. And I was working with my favorite AM that works over there. I forget her name, but she's such a hard ass to everybody that she doesn't know, but then she's always like super. It was kind of funny, like her and I were talking about stuff, and then at one point she's like, oh shit, everybody's here, and she just like throwing a light switch, like became like a hard ass for the stand up, which kind of cracks me up. But that department does tend to get people assigned to it that tend to be slackers in non-rated positions. People that start in inbound, where I start in inbound, where it becomes apparent that they don't stay on task as a line loader and that they wander off or just line load really, really slow. I noticed a long time ago, those people will get reassigned to decant or prep or receive or somewhere else where they're at a computer terminal and they are being judged by rate. I've got a really good reputation at warehouse as having a good work ethic and working quick. And one thing that was really, really obvious to not only the AM there, but also the PA, the lower level manager, who him and I used to butt heads when I went through my cross training there. He's like, well, you're right. And that was the guy that I kind of just like was kind of an asshole to him, and was actually at one point just digressed from even entertaining his conversation because I just thought it was stupid, to singing "We Do What We're Told" by Peter Gabriel. As I just started going back to work, they're like, yeah, you're not helping my rate any, you're just wasting my time. Him and I actually get along now, but yeah. But he did have to admit, for the stuff that I was actually working on, that my rate was pretty impressive. And one thing that was really obvious was with the water spiders, as I was probably going through twice as many totes, if not more, than everybody else. Yeah, the water spiders were taking some effort to keep me going with totes because I was doing so many things where just one item fit per tote, or 2 or 3 items fit per tote. And even though I was taking the extra time to try and figure out what combination of boxes fit without throwing off the weight and resulted in a balanced tote, I still was going through a buttload of them. Anyway, I enjoy doing that. I don't think I'd be happy if that was my regular department, but once in a while, like a half shift when I show up late, I do really enjoy it. I did enjoy it tonight. Anyway, on that note, I'm going inside, get my drink. My damn burgers are getting cold. Thanks for coming with on the drive, and hope I didn't bore you all to death with my my sloppy analysis of the Kari Lake trial.